Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me for Singapore FinTech Festival coverage is Navin Suri, CEO of Percipient, to discuss getting bank digital transformation done, but better. Navin, it's great to see you virtually. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thank you so much, Jill. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
You got it. And with COVID-19 having pulled digital forward by at least 5 years, fintechs are attacking niches, big tech disrupting value pools and neobanks, winning market share, financial services incumbents, big and small, can't really delay embarking on digital transformation. Would you agree with that?
Oh, completely agree. Completely agree. Yeah. Banks are probably people who have kicked the can down the road on doing a digital transformation for all their legacy technologies, possibly for the last 30, 40 years. We can say that because we ourselves are a team of bankers from within the technology function. And we have proud scars to show on our back with digital transformation that we've done in over 40 countries while we were all in Citibank together. This includes small countries and big markets and countries where the regulations are more difficult than or less defined, and also countries which have adopted some newer technologies versus those that haven't. The process is complicated. It is difficult. It is expensive. It is risky. And COVID, as you very rightly said, has pulled digital forward by 5, maybe 7 years for banks. And everyone's been caught off guard. And they have now figured that turning digital is the only thing that they have to do. So it's now become a board level priority. We find the timing of what we do, and we feel sort of grateful in one way to COVID. I know there aren't many people who can say that about that pandemic, but what it has done for us is a product that we were developing for the last 2.5 years, and I'll talk about that in a minute, suddenly has become extremely relevant, urgently required and important for banks and, in fact, for insurers around the world.
Now, Percipient recently announced what you call the world's first digital twin for banks. How does it solve for the deep-rooted problem across the financial services industry? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so let's put this in some context first. So, and I'll quote 2 independent sources. McKinsey published a report late last year where they said that for a bank to embark, a mid-sized bank, forget large, a mid-sized bank to embark on a digital transformation journey, it's going to cost them anywhere between $50 to $200 million and anywhere between 3 to 5 years. So you have to stop everything in its tracks, change your entire technology to new, by which time the world passes you by, and you've got to just wait till you come out on the other side. Now, that's obviously not possible. The other study that I want to refer to is one that was done by Accenture, which was also late last year, where they said they looked at 160 of the largest banks in 21 of the world's most advanced markets and found that only 12% of them can be called digitally active. 35%, say about a third of them, are flirting with digital. So they've done 10, 15% digitalization. And over 50% of them are only thinking about it. And mind you, these are the largest banks in the most advanced countries. Now, if that be the problem with these big boys, you can well imagine what happens to credit unions, rural banks, small banks around the world, which is the long tail of banks and constitutes about 90% of the 25,000 odd banks that are there globally. So what we did in the digital twin was that we needed to think differently. I mean, the big companies, whether it's IBM or Oracle or Dell or Cisco, Lenovo, they are not bankers. You know, they are technology companies which think like technology companies, but not like bankers, not like, they don't have the domain expertise. So what we've done is we put together our entire knowledge of how a bank's systems should be versus how they have been. And we took about 2.5 years to invent a whole new product for digital transformation for banks, which is what we call the digital twin. Now, essentially, as the name suggests, it's a replica of everything legacy that a bank has, but allows the bank to do digital products, launch digital customer experiences, launch digital customer journeys, not in months or years, but in weeks, not spending tens of millions of dollars, but spending maybe a tenth, maybe a 15th of that amount, not having to stop everything to do legacy transformation first. At the same time, not have to worry about that if I get this twin, will it allow me to onboard new technologies that come in the future? So this technology that we've built is actually future compatible as well.
Yeah, it sounds like it solves the problem of the expense, as you mentioned before, the transition from legacy to digital asset. And of course, at the end of the day, it's what consumers are demanding. So it sounds like it works well for everyone.
Yes, that's correct. It does. And, the most amazing part of it is that it's built by bankers. So we, as domain experts, we understand the pain of a banker. It's like if you talk about, who should build, whose input should go into designing the next CT scan machine. It should actually be the doctor. It should be the person who actually does the scan and says, hey, this is not how this machine should be. So we consider ourselves in many ways to be equivalent of doctors who've actually done the job and know what is it that needs to be solved and how should it be solved. So we brought that into the product. It's the first of its kind in the world. Interestingly, the technology of digital twins, Jill, has existed for about 30 years. But it has existed in the aerospace industry. So NASA uses a digital twin of the space stations that are up in the sky to observe on the ground in a digital twin of that space station as to what's happening with it. Singapore has a digital twin under its smart city initiative of the entire city. Now, Singapore runs traffic, health, and security for the country using the digital twins technology. If I take a more recent example, Tesla as a car has a digital twin of every single car that's on the road, observing in real time the behavior of the driver, as well as the behavior of the car itself. And at the end of the day, specific to that car, Tesla is able to send upgrades and patches. So when you get out and start your car next morning, it's already upgraded with improvements that it needed. So this entire thing gets enabled using digital twin as a technology. We've taken that technology, overlaid banking on it, and created the bank's first, the first digital twin for the banking industry.
Super interesting, Navin. Thanks so much for joining us on Trade Talks, and thanks for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.